Let me tell you something most women won't admit. No contact hurts us too. Yeah, I know, you've probably heard people say that when you stop reaching out, she just moves on and forgets you. But that's not the full story. What actually happens inside a woman's mind during no contact is far more complicated. And honestly, it surprises even us sometimes. See, when a woman pulls away or ends things, she does it thinking she's in control. In her mind, she's the one calling the shots, deciding to leave, choosing distance, taking space. But when you go silent, when you don't chase, don't beg, don't try to fix it, that illusion of control starts to crack. At first, she'll act like she's fine. She'll post something that looks like she's thriving. She'll laugh extra hard around her friends. She'll convince herself she made the right choice. But deep down, there's this slow, creeping confusion that starts building. Why isn't he reacting? Why doesn't he care? That's when the emotional shift begins. Because no contact isn't just you staying silent. It's you changing the dynamic. You're forcing her to face the consequences of her own decision. And women feel that deeply, even when they pretend they don't. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what a woman feels during no contact, the emotions she cycles through, what's really happening in her head, and how that silence slowly starts to work on her. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Some of it might surprise you. Some of it might even sting a little. But if you want to truly understand how women think, not the fantasy version, but the real psychological and emotional process, then stay with me. Because once you understand what's actually happening during no contact, you'll never chase the same way again. 1. The first stage. Relief that feels like freedom. Here's what most men don't realize. When a woman first ends things or pulls away, she actually feels relieved. Not because she doesn't care about you, but because emotionally, she's been building up to that moment for a while. In her head, she's been replaying the arguments, the tension, the distance, all those moments that made her feel unheard or disconnected. So when she finally steps back, it feels like she's taking a deep breath after holding it in too long. That first stage of no contact for a woman, it feels like freedom. She tells herself she's made the right decision. She believes this is her healing era. She starts convincing herself that this is what's best for her, that she needs to focus on herself. She'll even say things like, "I just need space," or "I'm not ready for anything serious right now." What she's really saying is, "I need to feel like I have control again." During this stage, she's not missing you. Not yet. She's too busy trying to validate her decision. She'll go out with her friends, maybe post more on social media, or start talking to new people just to prove to herself she's fine. But here's the truth. Most of that is a performance. It's not that she's lying to you. She's lying to herself. She's trying to believe her own story, that she's completely over it. But inside, there's a subtle awareness that something feels off. She's gotten used to your presence, your calls, your texts, your energy. You were part of her daily rhythm. Now that rhythm has stopped, but her mind hasn't fully caught up yet. So while she's busy convincing herself she's moved on, her subconscious is already noticing the silence you left behind. You see, women crave emotional certainty. We like knowing how someone feels, where we stand, and what to expect. When you go no contact, you strip away that certainty. And even though she'll act unbothered, that uncertainty starts to eat at her. Slowly. She might not feel the loss yet, but she's starting to sense that something she took for granted might actually be gone. That's why her relief doesn't last long. It's temporary. Because the moment she realizes you're not chasing her, the emotional story in her head begins to shift. The confidence she had starts to fade. And the silence, that same silence that once made her feel free, begins to feel like something she can't control anymore. That's when the confusion starts to creep in. 2. The confusion. When silence feels too quiet. This is the stage where things start to shift, slowly, quietly, and almost against her will. The relief she felt at first begins to fade, and something unfamiliar takes its place: confusion. Because here's the truth: women expect men to react. When she pulls away, part of her subconsciously waits for you to chase. She expects the messages, the "I miss you" texts, or the late-night calls asking what went wrong. It's not because she wants to manipulate you. It's because that's what she's conditioned to believe will happen. So when you don't reach out, when you go silent, it throws her off balance. She starts to wonder if you ever cared as much as she thought. It challenges her ego and her emotions at the same time. Because for women, being desired is tied to emotional validation. And when that validation suddenly disappears, it creates an uncomfortable kind of emptiness. That's when she starts thinking, not feeling, thinking. Why hasn't he texted? Is he seeing someone else? Did I matter less to him than I thought? These aren't just random questions. They're a defense mechanism. Her mind is trying to regain control over a situation she no longer feels in charge of. The silence becomes louder than words. Every day that passes without a message makes her question herself a little more. And it's not just about you anymore. It's about her self-worth, her power, her ability to attract, her importance in your world. That's why no contact affects women far more deeply than most men realize. It doesn't just create distance. It forces her to face her own emotional dependency on your attention. She'll start comparing. She'll think back to how things felt when you were around, how easy it was to get reassurance, how safe it felt knowing she could reach out and you'd respond. Now she doesn't have that. And that uncertainty starts to feel heavier every day. 3. The emotional pendulum, between missing you and resisting it. This is where things get messy inside her head. She's no longer pretending she doesn't care, but she's also not ready to admit she misses you. It's like she's caught in an emotional tug-of-war. One side of her wants to reach out, while the other side tells her not to give in. That back-and-forth feeling can drive a woman crazy, because it's the exact opposite of how she wants to appear. Composed, confident, and in control. During this phase, she starts to feel your absence more deeply. Little things remind her of you. A song, a place, a random memory that pops up when she least expects it. And even though she tries to shake it off, her emotions don't cooperate. The more she tries to forget, the more her mind brings you up. That's because no contact doesn't just create distance, it amplifies whatever unresolved emotions were left behind. But here's the key. Women hate feeling powerless over their emotions. When she starts to feel that pull toward you again, she'll fight it. She'll distract herself, stay busy, or even talk to other guys just to prove to herself that she's fine. But it never really works, because none of it gives her what she actually wants: emotional peace. And that peace doesn't come until she either reaches out or feels completely certain that you've moved on. That's why this stage is so unpredictable. One moment, she misses you. The next, she's angry at herself for missing you. One day she'll think, maybe I overreacted. And the next, no, I did the right thing. It's a cycle of emotional resistance. She doesn't want to be the one to break first, but she also hates the feeling of wondering what you're doing and who you're with. 4. How her ego fights against her heart. Now we've reached the part where the real inner battle begins, her ego versus her heart. This is where logic and emotion start pulling her in opposite directions, and it's not pretty. Every woman who's ever gone through no contact has felt this war inside her, whether she admits it or not. Her heart misses you. That's the truth. She thinks about the good moments, the way you made her laugh, the way you made her feel safe, seen and wanted. But her ego tells her she can't go back, that reaching out would make her look weak, desperate, or like she lost the upper hand. And that thought, losing her sense of control, terrifies her. This is why so many women stay silent even when they're hurting. They want to be the one who seems unbothered. They want to believe they're the one who moved on first. It's not always pride. Sometimes it's protection. Women are emotional creatures, but we also hate vulnerability when we feel it might be used against us. So, when her ego starts talking, it says things like, "He doesn't deserve my attention. He's probably moved on already. If he cared, he'd be the one to reach out." But her heart doesn't care about any of that. Her heart remembers. It wonders what you're doing. It replays moments she thought she forgot. It makes her check your page just once. It makes her curious, even when she tries to act indifferent. And that's what makes no contact so powerful. It quietly feeds her heart, while her ego is busy defending her pride. The longer the silence goes on, the more that inner conflict grows. Her ego starts losing its strength because it runs on external validation. And when that's gone, it weakens. Meanwhile, her heart keeps whispering, "What if he's really done with me?" And that thought hits harder than any argument or breakup ever could. At this stage, she's torn between two fears: the fear of losing you completely and the fear of looking foolish if she reaches out. So she stays stuck in the middle, pretending not to care while her emotions quietly betray her. 5. The moment she starts checking, if you still care. This is the turning point, when her emotions start overpowering her pride. At this stage, a woman becomes quietly curious, sometimes even anxious, about what's really going on with you. The silence that once felt like strength now feels like uncertainty. And when a woman doesn't know where she stands emotionally, she starts searching for clues. It doesn't always start with a message. Sometimes it begins with small, subtle moves. She might view your story but not like anything. She might accidentally like an old post and then quickly unlike it. She might even ask mutual friends about you. Casually, of course, like, "Hey, do you still talk to him?" But all of it is driven by the same need: reassurance. She wants to know she still matters. Here's what she's feeling underneath all that. Did he move on? Does he still think about me? Did he ever really care? Those questions play on repeat in her mind, especially at night when her thoughts get louder. And every time she doesn't see a sign from you, no message, no post that sounds sad, no reaction to anything she does, it stings a little more. That's when she starts to miss the version of you she took for granted. Not the arguments, not the tension, but the consistency, the warmth, the way she felt when she knew you cared. And here's the twist. She won't admit it, even to herself. Instead, she'll frame it like she's just curious or just checking in. But underneath that curiosity is longing and a touch of regret. 6. When curiosity turns into emotional panic. This is where everything flips. What started as curiosity, a few glances at your profile, a harmless check-in, suddenly turns into something she can't control anymore. The silence she once tolerated now feels unbearable. Every unanswered question starts to echo louder in her mind. This is the stage where she realizes she might have actually lost you. And that thought triggers emotional panic. Here's what's happening inside her. She's no longer just wondering if you've moved on. She's imagining it. She starts picturing you texting someone new, giving another woman the same attention she used to have. She starts questioning if you ever needed her as much as she thought. And that mental image, you being fine without her, is what starts breaking her composure. This panic doesn't always show on the surface. She might not reach out directly, but her actions shift. Maybe she starts posting things that seem out of character, something a little more revealing, more playful, or even something nostalgic that hints at you. She might start responding faster to your old messages if you happen to text. Or she might suddenly appear more often online when you're active. These aren't coincidences. They're subconscious reactions to fear. Women panic not just when they lose love, but when they lose significance. Because at the core, that's what no contact threatens. Her sense of importance in your life. And when a woman who once felt certain about you starts doubting that certainty, the emotional spiral begins. She starts thinking, did I push him too far? Or, what if he's done for good? Those thoughts create anxiety, and that anxiety turns into an emotional chase. Here's what most men don't realize. During no contact, you're not just giving her silence. You're giving her space to see her own reflection. She's forced to confront how her choices made her feel. The attention she once took for granted becomes something she suddenly craves again. And because you're no longer supplying it, she feels that emotional hunger more than ever. 7. The realization that changes everything. This is the moment where everything inside her finally clicks. The denial fades, the ego crumbles, and the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The truth is, she misses you, she feels your absence, and she realizes she underestimated your silence. This stage is powerful because it's not driven by curiosity or pride anymore. It's driven by clarity. See, for most women, no contact starts as a test. We tell ourselves we're doing it to see what happens or to take space. But by the time this stage hits, it's no longer about testing you. It's about facing the emotional consequences of our own choices. She starts to see the difference between a man who cared and a man who chased. You didn't chase, and now that stands out. She starts to understand that your silence wasn't about manipulation. It was self-respect. That you weren't trying to hurt her. You were simply protecting your peace. And that realization changes everything. Because most women don't experience that kind of restraint from a man, especially one who genuinely cared. Now, she begins to look at you differently. She thinks about the moments when you stayed calm instead of arguing, the way you walked away instead of begging, the fact that you didn't compete for her attention. And whether she admits it or not, that earns you a kind of respect she didn't feel before. It's the respect that comes from seeing a man who values himself, a man she can't easily control. But here's where you need to be honest with yourself. By the time she reaches this point, you've probably grown too. No contact isn't just about making her miss you. It's about rediscovering your strength. So, when she finally realizes she wants you back, you'll see her differently too. You'll notice how her energy shifts. She'll sound softer, less defensive, more intentional. Her tone will carry something she didn't have before, humility. And that's what no contact really does. It strips away the noise, the games, the emotional confusion. It forces her to see who you are without all the back and forth. And if you've used that silence to evolve, she'll feel it instantly. Here's the truth most women won't say out loud. No contact doesn't just make her miss you, it humbles her. It forces her to sit with the silence she created, to face the loss she thought she could handle, and to realize that a man who truly values himself will never chase validation from someone who walked away. When you go no contact, you're not playing a game. You're protecting your energy. You're reminding her and yourself that love isn't proven through begging or constant reassurance. It's proven through strength, through peace, through the ability to let go when you're not being valued. And that's what shakes women the most. The fact that your silence doesn't come from anger, but from self-respect. That's the kind of quiet that speaks louder than words ever.